Okay. Hello and good evening, everyone. I am Roman Polat. I'm from Kabul. I conduct lectures at the university in history and political science. Today, the topic we have chosen to talk about is my tribe, my nationality, Pashtun or Afghan. You pronounce it Pashtun. Pashtun, Afghans, Pathans, Rohingyas, Aryans, and Indo-Europeans. Across the history, we have been called in this name. We have been called by this name. But originally, Pashtuns, we call ourselves Pashtuns. Central Asians and the Iranians call us Afghans. Pathans, the Indian subcontinent populations, they call us the Pathans. Rohingyas, the Kablani Pashtuns in Balochistan and Pashtunistan, they call themselves Rohingyas. Aryans, originally we belong to the Aryan family and Indo-European family. There are evidences in the history that Pashtuns belong to the Indo-European families of the European race. Very long back, like 6,000 years ago, all these Aryan tribes, Kashmiris, Nuristanis, Kurdish people, Parsis, Pashtuns, Baloch, Sanskrits, Punjabis, Gujaratis, they have been living in the place called Eurasia. Eurasia is located between the European, Eurasia, rivers and the Eurasian mountains, located between the borders of Europe and Asia. Somewhere now today, in the modern day, we call this area Georgia. That Pakhtuns call it Gurjistan. So all these Aryans who live in Kurdistan, Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, Kashmir, India, Pakistan, these people had previously been living in the place called Eurasia with their ancestors who were the Europeans. They were living together, they had common ancestry, they had one language, they were speaking an Arabic language. I claim this because Pashto has a lot of commonality to the French language, Latin, and English. By the pass of the time, like 6,000 years ago, these populations exploded. Some of these Aryan families, they migrated to Russia, some went to the Latin Europe, some went to the German Europe, they migrated, and some migrated toward the east. They came to Iran plateaus, to the Indus River, to the Helmand rivers, to the Balkh civilization. So all these tribes, they chose a geographical location to cultivate, to run the husbandry, to provide a life, and to live. But originally, all these tribes come in one family, that's called Indo-European family. Pashtun, you see today they live in India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. The original home of the Pashtun is Afghanistan, the Hindu Kush Mountains, Baba Mountains, that stretches to what Balochistan and Pashtunistan as well. Pashtuns are originally three tribes. Ghalgis, it means Gharzis, yeah. Gurjis, the Georgians. Abdalis, like Attilis. Attilis, Attila. Attila means a hero champion, Pashtuns, Attila. Attilis or Attilos. Attilos is a tribe in Greece and Latin. Even the Great Ocean, this is Okeanos Attilos. So Okeanos Attilos is just called the name of these people. And you have Karmanis. They're all called Afghans. Pashtuns, they have been living in Afghanistan for the last 5,000 years. The great heritage, they have a national clothing, they wear the Patani clothes, a national pakol, sometimes a turban, a Pashtun style turban, which was very popularized by Ahmad Shah Abdali when he was an imperator conquering India, Iran, and Central Asia. He had several military expeditions and incursions into Indian subcontinent, 2 times in Iran, 7 times he invaded India, and 1 time Central Asia, Uzbekistan, when he brought the kharka, the cloth of Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he situated that in one of the palaces in Kandahar. Pashtuns have been ruling Afghanistan and some neighboring countries for the last 1,500 years. The Pashto languages, in addition, the other heritage that they have possessed across the history, even though now Pashto language and the culture is being dead, it's dying nowadays. We see the situations that Iranism from the west and the Hinduism and Pakistanism from the east squeezes Pashtuns and their language and their culture, and I think it's fading now. It fades every day, and it's going to die in the future. To put an example, to put a proof and evidence that Pashtuns are Aryans and they belong to the European race is that we have a commonality of our language. In English language, you say, "Hey, wake up." In Kabyle Pashto, we say, "Wake up." So wake and wake, you're saying. They say Tamar, we say Tamar too. They say 9, we say 9. They say 8, we say Ata. And in the Roman language, Latin, they say Ot, very similar to Pashto. 3, Dre. 2, Dwa. These lingual commonality between the Pashto language and the European language is very common. French language, you say, je ne suis pas là. In Pashto, in Kabyle Pashto, you say, je ne suis pas. Jeune, Pashto people call jeune a young man, an adult person. In Pashto languages, jeune is a young man. In French also, they call the the young person, the adult person, a mature personality. Je, the French language, je is my, and Pashto is zema. So they, in Latin, they say nume, we say num in Pashto. Pashto as well has a lot of commonality and deep origins with Sanskrit language too. Pashto, to be called a very ancient and old language, the only symbol and the only value that Pashtun people possess today is of a great value, unfortunately, for which Pashtun young boys and girls and the generations across the history have not valued it. On the other hand, they have devalued it. They have not given a lot of importance to it. In a consequence, I would like to say that I would like to put a message for all the Pakistani young boys and girls, the new generation, the academic generation, this digital generation, that save your language. Your language is the oldest identity that you possess. And save it. By saving it, you will save your nation, and you will respect yourself, have a sense of respect for yourself, and have respect to your God, because God gave you this language and this identity and this genius. Respect God for what He has given it to you. Till the next discussion, I'll be there at USAV. I will have more details, I'll have more explanations about the history of Pakhtuns, about their kings, about their heritage. Till then, goodbye.